When we met, it was pretty much, I would say, love at first sight.
I can't imagine ever being with anyone else. You know, I mean, my heart and soul is with Megan.
When he was arrested, it was the first time that we were away for longer than a couple days. That experience was hard, him being taken away from us.
I've been dealing with mental health most of my life. I used to just go into a room and pull a blanket over my head. Didn't want to be around anybody. I was paranoid of everybody and everything. Dealt with that for years. Then I met Megan. We have our 2 kids, and I was pretty fine for a while. And then I just kind of relapsed.
Probably about a week before the arrest, we started noticing Johnny being more agitated. On the Friday, July 21st, that was the worst day. The first time the police were called, they came out and Johnny talked to them, and they were like, well, it's not against the law to be mentally ill. We can't do anything until he does something. And they gave us the number for the mobile crisis, and on there it said, only available Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. And this was a Friday, so I'm like, great. When I called the crisis line, they said, well, basically the same thing the police said. There's nothing that we can do until something happens. We need him to call. We were left to deal with it on our own. The police were called a second time on Friday, and I thought because they had noticed his mental illness and they knew what was going on when he was arrested, that he would be immediately evaluated, he'd be given the services that he needed, and that just didn't happen.
They didn't even take me for a mental evaluation. They took me straight to jail.
He was in jail for 2 months. He was so far into a psychosis that he was refusing his medications.
It was just horrifying, just being locked up in a place and no familiar faces. I'm already paranoid, you know, and thinking people out to get me and stuff, and they put me in jail.
Within 24 hours of his arrest, I was researching. I found an article in the Seattle Times about True Blood.
A headline from the Seattle Times reads, Rights Group State Reach Settlement in Competency Lawsuit.
I read that and I was just floored. I couldn't believe it, that this was something that was going on for years. And I was like, I need to do whatever I need to do. I need to get in contact with Disability Rights Washington. I need to find out how I can fix this. I think having mobile treatment 24/7, I mean, because that's what it's supposed to be. If it's mobile, it's supposed to be something that can be available 24/7, and you know, people don't have to travel. That would have made a huge difference.
When you're in a crisis like that, at least from personal experiences, you're not going to trust any police officer or anyone looks like they're from, you know, government agency or whatever, because that's usually the first thing you start thinking, is that the government's out to get you. And if they do show up, yeah, it would be better if you had an advocate there with them.
Having educated first responders that know how to address mental illness when they see it and know what to do and how to communicate with that person in a way that doesn't escalate the situation and make it worse. I mean, it just seems simple to me. When he was released, when he walked out, it was awesome. It was really awesome.
And then my kids were in school when I got home, so I was able to surprise them. I was sitting in the room, and he came in the door, and my youngest one was here first. And he came in and he said, "Daddy," he gave me a hug. We cried together, and then my other one came in, the older one, JJ, and he came in and he tackled me on the bed pretty much, and he hugged and he looked at me, and he's not quite as the emotional type as Donovan, my younger one. So JJ just looked at me. He's like, "I feel like I'm gonna cry, Dad." And I said, "It's okay. You could cry if you want to cry. I'm crying."
It doesn't just affect the inmate, you know, and mentally ill people have families that love them and have kids and have homes.
It's not all about me anymore. You know, I have a wife and kids to take care of. I gotta be stable enough to do so. No sick person should ever end up in jail. That should be the last place they should end up, you know, is in jail.
I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through and what my husband went through in jail. and what my kids went through, not having their dad around. It almost destroyed our family, what we went through. So I just don't want that to happen to anyone else.